Welcome back to our weekly empath for week 49. That is the 1st till the 7th of December. As always, giving you a little bit of a heads up here of what collective energies feel like this next week and how this affects you as energetically sensitive or empath. Right, I welcome all of you while you're still logging on. Let me know what country you are watching from. Let me know how you're feeling. The reason why I'm doing this live is to be able to connect with you here, maybe respond to some of your personal questions or challenges that you're going through. So please take this opportunity here to ask questions. All right, this is really important. Otherwise, doing this live wouldn't make any sense for me. So, if you look at the barometer here on your left, just for a quick explanation, what I am measuring here with the barometer is the intensity level. Okay, it's not good or bad. So just because it's green doesn't mean it's going to be good, and just because it's red doesn't mean because that it's going to be bad. It just means that there's going to be intensity there. And intensity for an energetically sensitive person is always something that plays out physically. Okay, so this is one of the big issues that we have as energetically sensitive persons. Not only when the intensity levels go up, people typically, or people around us, ourselves as well, get a little short fused, get a little agitated, but we often also feel this in our body. And the big issue here is that if we can't fully connect with it, if we can't fully contextualize it, is that we start doubting ourselves, is that we, are not sure, if this is, something that we should do differently, or if we are getting sick, or if it is stuff that comes in, because we are not fully in tune, with ourselves. And so I want you to know, guys, that when you are listening to these energy updates here, and especially those of you who feel like completely alone, with these sensations that you have, I want you to know that you're not alone. Okay, and this is why I do these energy updates. We have a whole community of empaths and energetically sensitives here at transCODES, and it's a lot easier for me to record this once a week than to repeat this over and over again for everybody. So I want you to know that you are not alone, and that there is roughly 10-15% of people around you who feel similar things, but because we don't talk about it, with another, because we're afraid to be judged, or we're afraid that people think we're crazy or something like that, we keep this for ourselves. So it is ultimately then always the question of us not being good enough, or not deserving to be with others or to connect with others, that comes up in times of intensity. And why is the barometer for next week so reddish here? Even though, and I want to add this, even though this is actually, I'm expecting this to be actually a really nice week, but we're gonna have to deal with something that you can see in the title here. We're gonna have to deal with waves. Okay, and these waves have already started in November. So if you haven't tuned into the November forecast, do this only because this will continue to go on till January. In the December update or forecast that I recorded yesterday, I'm explaining it in a little more detail, so stay tuned. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you're gonna get the recording here within the next day, and if you are a YouTube channel subscriber, you'll get notified when the December forecast goes public. So the big issue that we're having here is not that whatever is coming at us is bad. It's just that the way it comes in is so overwhelming and so intense that we often struggle physically, okay? And the challenges right now, I know that a lot of people had extreme nausea last week. Obviously, you know, all these flu symptoms that we're dealing with, this whole congestive thing here in our sinuses, ears, eyes, and forehead, guys. This is going to continue for the entire month of December, whether you're in the southern or northern hemisphere. This has to do with this awakening, okay? It's right here. And when there's too much distraction, when there's too much repressed stuff, okay, you'll also feel this in your stomach. So it's the stomach and the eyes, you know, it's like seeing truth and really facing your emotions. And just so you know, this will go on for the entire month of December. Your cardiovascular and your nervous system are equally challenged. Okay, so we're supposed to really learn how to live in our heart, not just intellectually, you know, understanding that something like the heart mind, you know, listening to our intuition and seeking inner guidance, you know, that these things are good for us, you know, not just mindfulness. You know, mindfulness also has the tendency to make our mind full of stuff. Okay, the heart mind goes a step farther than that. That's something that we feel. That's us allowing ourselves, you know, to really be in the present and to feel. Ultimately, you know, what defines us as empaths. It's one of our superpowers, okay, the ability to feel. And for the entire month of December, we're going to be challenged there. So it's not really that mental this coming week, you know, where we experience the first of at least 3 big waves in December. Okay, it's going to be intense. It's going to feel awesome, intensely awesome, or intensely terrible. All right, so it works like an amplification, and this is why I have been talking about alignment so much, because your alignment is what sets you up for a specific experience, for a way of perceiving your life. And so you're gonna have to really pay attention to where your energy goes here, and particularly in regards to where your energy goes when you're not getting what you want or what you need. So there will be this like beautiful sort of wave of wanting to connect, wanting to love, really wanting to unify within, you know, the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves and on the outside. Okay, so this is the really positive part here of this next week, is that we will feel this openness. We really want to expand. It will be very sort of, it will come in a very passionate way. And those of you who have been, you know, a bit frustrated about your relationship life, maybe all year, you know, you're gonna have a really cool experience, or at least the opportunity for that. All right, but you're gonna have to curb your enthusiasm. And those of you, you know, who've been sitting there waiting for permission, you know, to do something or to open yourself up, or, you know, waiting for somebody to just arrive on your doorstep, you guys gonna have to rock up. You guys gonna have to go out a bit more. All right, so you can see here this new perception of your reality, you know, of what you are experiencing, you know, this birthing of new reality that happened in November now needs to, you know, sort of go from just the mental conception or the spiritual conception into the emotional processing. All right, so it's really important that you use these waves that are coming in right now to reflect. And the way, you know, this is coming in for me is, you know, as a constant reminder of as below, so above, or as above, so below. So to see your inner and your outer journey intrinsically connected. Every person that you encounter, that you interact with, is a mirror of, you know, where your energies, where your alignment is at. And this is particularly important in regards to stuff that rubs you the wrong way. So every person that you meet that rubs you the wrong way, okay, go into this inner reflection and ask yourself, I wonder what it is in me, okay, that gets triggered through this, and reminds me maybe of parts that I cannot fully love about myself, that I cannot fully accept about myself. And remember last week we talked about accepting limitations, and that will come together now, where you actually have to see, okay, I do have limitations, or my girlfriend has limitations, or my job has limitations. And you're going to have to find the compromise here, work it out. Don't go overboard. Don't, do too much or do too little, okay? Go into this place of knowing what it is that you truly want and what you truly need. And the problem with this, guys, is that if you don't know this, or if you distract yourself away from your true needs, what's going to happen is that you're going to get pulled into your coping mechanisms, into your core coping patterns. And remember what those are? Avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. And what do we use for coping? We use substances, we use busyness, we use other people's dramas, okay? We use things that, help us to avoid or numb pain, or create so much stimulation, so much, sort of excitement in us that we can temporarily forget about what is actually bothering us, what it actually is that we're not getting. And this is really important that you become more aware of this. This is a time of revelation. So this spiritual awakening wave that is going on here on a larger scale, right, is there for us to better understand ourselves. And as we learn how to better understand ourselves, we learn how to better understand others, how to more synergistically work with others, how to make better compromises, how to work out healthier ways of interacting with another. All these unhealthy ways of interacting with another, these extremes, this too much, too little, right? They are all rooted in your coping patterns, enabling codependency, addictions, but also, your continual sort of lack of self-love in the physical, or in the emotional, or in the mental. And the physical plays out as you not really taking care of your body, not really listening to your body. And the emotional, it plays out as in not fully sort of allowing your emotions. So many of you are not allowing yourselves to be angry, for instance. Okay, and dealing with anger, or dealing with fear, or dealing with pain, or even dealing with guilt or grief, those are really important, steps in our journey here. Because without, us actually fully being able to witness all that we are, we cannot really become happy and fulfilled. So the reason why so many of you, are desperately seeking, for purpose and fulfillment, is because you're actually not allowing yourself to feel what it truly is that you want or what you need. There's a judgment about your needs. There's a judgment about you being angry. There's a judgment about, you not being good enough. And that's, what gets you, into this place of, sort of thinking that you have to suppress things. It also brings you into situations where you get oppressed, where you get victimized. So I want you to understand that there's a cycle, that there's a connection here, and it's unconscious. And awakening is nothing but, in its essence, it's nothing really but making the unconscious conscious, and learning how to live with it, and learning to love yourself regardless. Okay, so for next week, Your passion is going to be unleashed, all right? But, you know, also your laziness. So you're going to have to see how you can deal with expansion, because this is going to continue, guys, in these wavy, intense, amplified sort of collective energies till the end of January. But as an overall maturing process till the end of March. By April, you really need to have this figured out, okay? Because there are things that are coming in, you know, in the next year that really ask us to be the co-creator of our lives. And if we, you know, choose to spend our life, you know, based on ego, you know, we will always feel like life is just happening to me. You know, things are just, you know, being done to me. You never really feel the sovereignty, you know, that you need to claim your space, to protect your space, but also to work with others and to love with others. Okay, so this coming week is all about the fundamentals of our coping and how we can sort of learn to tame or to temper or to balance these triggers that we have. And whether you are more on the seeking pleasure side or avoiding pain side, you know, is something that is determined by your socialization. You know, this is typically forms like in the first 5 years, you know, of your life. So it doesn't matter if you are more like a number or more like a stimulation seeker in your core coping pattern. There's no judgment in that. It's just you know, whatever worked best for you when you were a child. But you got to recognize this now as a part of your core sort of ego principle. One other thing that is coming in here next week in regards to the collective is that there's a little bit of a shift in the power structure here. So there's going to be, it's almost like we get to look at the flip side of everything. We get to look under the covers. There's a lot of revelations that are really shifting the way we, like say, maybe look at our government or look at, you know, these controlling agencies or institutions, okay? And we will probably lose hope a little bit that they can do what they promised us to do. So there's going to be a little bit of betrayal here. But as I said last week, you know, this is really something that should give us more hope, because what this paradigm shift that we're experiencing here in this day and age, where this is going to lead is really to a more liberated and, you know, a more unified society, okay, really working with those fundamentals of energetic or holistic paradigms towards what is good for all, okay, away from segregation, polarization, you know, me, self-gain, as a nation, as a society, as a religion, all right? So there is hope. Those of you who are currently working with us here at transCODES in the Grace Recovery Marathon, I want to give you guys a heads up. Yesterday was a really, really strong first day of our marathon. Fantastic, really. And I want to give you guys kudos, you know, everyone who is willing to really face some of these deeper inner things through energy work, okay, is, in my view, you know, is a trooper. Because even though we practice some of these things that I report here in the energy reports, you know, in this safe space of remote training, remote energy training, and remote energy healing, but at the same time, you know, it's really sort of this willingness to be with yourself and to really look at it. Yes, and I'm starting to see you guys finally. Oh my God, this took forever. And thank you for sending the hearts. We're going to get to the giveaway for this week. I'm going to give away 3 free energy training club memberships. That's 30 days unlimited free energy healing and training sessions here at transCODES, including workshops and webinars. So this is a huge gift to you guys, my loyal audience and subscribers and supporters. So 3 energy training club memberships here starting December 1st. So this will get you through the end of the year, and I can already promise you the sessions that are lined up for December are phenomenal. It's going to go deep, guys. It's going to go deep in a good way. All right. My problem is with my audience here that most of you guys don't have social media accounts, and so I get very few likes, I get very few comments, I get very few reviews. Okay, but in this new age, you know, of social rating, you know, without your guys' support here on social media, it's very difficult for me to get this through. So I need you to write me, you know, even if it's just a few words, especially those of you who were the winners of the Energy Training Club last month. You know, I'd love to hear from you what this experience was like. 30 days of energy training, intense training that was last month. So please help me, you know, to stay tuned here in social media and be able to put this out. If you prefer privacy, you know, then go to my Patreon channel. There you will receive premium content every week, which includes at least 1 article a week and the energy tips that I am recording here right after I'm done with the energy update. So the energy tips are not the same. I'm going much deeper into the energy work aspects, the physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, and energetic components and self-coaching tips here for this next week. And I usually make them public the week after. So if you go to my YouTube channel, for instance, then you'll see that I've published the energy tips for last week today. And if you're smart, you actually watch them even though the date is past, simply because we're still dealing with the same processes. All right, guys, so I thank you all. Also like and share the video. Don't forget that, you know, this is really how this works here with social media for content providers like myself. So we all struggle, and, you know, you guys are like my loyal audience here. I've been doing this for years. So help me, you know, to share at least one time, you know, because there'll always be people that suddenly stumble upon this content. All right, guys, I'm going to record the energy tips here now real quick before we have the next Grace Recovery session. I'm wishing you a wonderful, intense, passionate week. Oh, and if you catch yourself being totally lazy next week, then look at your laziness as your coping mechanism. Just a small tip. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.